Hey everyone, welcome to Life in Full Send, Athletes Reimagined, the podcast where we discuss the experience of redefining life after being an athlete. I'm your host, Liz Hall, an athlete integration specialist, and your teammate in navigating that big question, what comes after sports? Each week, I sit down with former athletes who have faced that very question and share how they navigated the transition. Quickly, be sure to subscribe and share the pod so you can catch all the stories. This week's episode features Laura Collins, the athlete psychotherapist, and who happens to be my really close friend. Laura opens up about her experience leaving college diving after an injury and lessons she learned along the way and through her work with athletes in therapy. Let's get into it. When you realized you took your last dive, what was that experience like?
Well, that was wild. So the same injuries that plagued me and caused me to retire at 12 from gymnastics. It's crazy to even think that any child would have to retire from a sport because of injuries, but they became the same injuries that I had to retire from diving as well. Basically it's like pitcher's elbow, but back in the day, there was absolutely no type of cartilage treatment that could help it whatsoever. It was just sort of take the bone chips out, shave your cartilage down, and then just hope for the best that your bones are going to be able to handle being knocked together. So I remember I was really having a tough time getting out of the pool. I went to the doctor. I had this great doctor at UCLA, Dr. Shapiro. They did some MRIs and he's like, look, these bone chips keep coming out over and over and over again. They keep ripping up your joint. You have arthritis of like a 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old. How long are you going to do this? And it was my senior year at UCLA. It was about halfway through the fall season. And no one had ever asked me that before. I was speechless. And he's like, don't you want to live your life and, hold your babies one day? He's like, but just think about your future. And no one had ever asked me about what I thought about my future. And then looking back now, I realized most athletes did not have future-oriented thinking. Our future orientation was geared towards what do we need for the next game, the next competition, the next big goal of the season. We didn't think about what happens after you leave. And so I sat there and he's like, are you going to dive after you graduate UCLA, which literally, Laura, is going to be June of this year. And I was like, I guess not. I didn't think I was going to keep going. And so he's like, why don't we just put you on medical? You've done so much for the team. You've done so much for the sport. Let it go. And that was the first time that anyone's ever been that forward about making that kind of decision. So I just said, okay. I was worried about my tuition, my scholarship. And he's like, you're on medical. Don't worry about it. We are going to take care of you as you have given so much. So don't worry about that. And I think that gave me permission to say, I guess I can let it go. When we know that we're going to be cared for, my family is going to be cared for. And I remember I walked up all the way up the pool at the time was way up by the dorms by Hedrick. There's a dorm called Hedrick. And Sunset Recreation Pool was up there, and that's where the diving boards were. And I walk up to my coach, and I can still see my teammates. One was on 3 meter and one's on 1 meter. And I said to my coach, I have to talk with you. And my friend Rose on 3 meter, she looks at me and she's like, don't you dare. Because I think at the time also, another person had gone out because of her knees and another person left voluntarily. She was like, I'm good with diving now. So, we had just experienced a lot of loss. And Rose's face was like, don't you dare. But the shock of my teammate's face. And I think the shock inside my own heart, which was like, I don't actually know what's coming out of my mouth. I'm just saying that the doctor said this, that there's no point in continuing to hurt myself. Do I want to keep hurting myself or do I just want to end this? Because I'm not going to keep doing it. And walked away being like, that's it. I guess that's it. I was so confused. I still to this day is like, I don't even remember what my last dive was. It was must have been the practice the day before. Because I didn't go to practice that day. And I went home and I was lost, absolutely lost. It was wild.
What are warning signs that I myself may be struggling but not know it?
I would say, and I'm trying to pull not just from my own experience because I didn't have any help with that. Like none of us had a roadmap for it when we were younger. And there's obviously a lot more support now than there was in the past. First and foremost, if you're feeling down or you're feeling off, I think people can just say, I just feel off. I feel more tired than usual. I don't want to do things. I don't feel like calling these people back. And it's not just once, it's like for weeks at a time. I don't feel like doing it. Or I am on the flip side, I am filling every little spot of free time with something, and I am wearing myself out. I am burning the candles at both ends, and I am exhausted because some people, their response to it in that grief way is like, I can't function. I'm going to lie in bed, and I don't want to get up. Other people are like, I don't want to feel that. I am going to stay as busy absolutely as possible, and I'm going to run myself ragged. I'm not sleeping. I am engaging and saying yes to every little possible thing. And actually, I'm now starting to miss appointments. I'm now, I've spread myself so thinly that I can't do all the things that I want to do. And now I feel guilty about it. So I think most of all is that when you are starting to feel that sort of like, nothing is in control anymore. I am not in my body. I am not feeling great, but I can't get a hold of it. I can't find a way to structure it or discipline it into some kind of being where I am functioning. Instead of waiting until you're so inundated that you feel like you're drowning, let's see if you can catch it when you're in knee-high water or you're in waist-high water. I'm starting to notice I don't really feel like I belong, or I feel like I'm out of place, or I'm feeling, I've never felt this way before and I don't know what I'm feeling. I just know it doesn't feel good. I'm not hungry anymore. I'm eating all the time. Like you know your own body to know that there's a shift and something isn't right. Something is awry.
What's one thing you wish more athletes knew about retirement or transition?
I wish they knew that they didn't have to figure it out right away perfectly in the same zest and intensity that they achieved all their great goals as athletes. I think we all forget. I mean, this happens with the athletes that I work with, that it takes years for us to get to the upper echelon way of being in our sports and our mindset and how we prepare for things, how we execute things, how we recover from things. And then when that's all sort of decimated and over and done, then we have to start from ground zero and build up again something new. And that is okay. I think we forget that like the building process, because a lot of us started sports when we were like 3 or 4 or 5, and you grew up what was essentially we thought was playing, then turns into the work and rigor of being in sport. But then when we get out of it, it's not like we can go back and be 5 years old again and be like, okay, let's play our way into the next chapter. In some ways, maybe we could all remind ourselves, and that's, I think, the importance of community. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the community, talking to you, me, like us even having the space right now, is reminding people to give ourselves permission, that exists. And that when we support one another and say, like, don't forget you're starting from ground zero. How can I support you thinking about yourself in a different way? What are you interested in? What can we try? Let's try it together, because I'm here for you as a teammate and as a friend. I hope people would, first of all, remember that it's a process. And just like we spent in sport, that this is a long game mentality to finding your next thing, your next aspect of yourself. And everything that you've brought, your mentality, the way that you are, is also going into your next thing. So, the discipline and the achieving and the capability for correction and development and evolution, it's all still there. None of it goes away. It just gets used for something else. Then we remind ourselves in our communities and lead into our communities about that.
Right. We almost box it up and we're like, okay, this is me as an athlete and everything having to do with that goes away. And it couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is for the vast majority of any athlete, for athletes in general, most don't do it for the rest of their lives. So it's a building block. It's a foundation to support us, to give us tools for that next whatever. And I love that you said, give ourselves grace as we learn. It's clunky. When you played your first soccer game when you were in 3rd grade, it was clunky. It wasn't cute. It took time. Laura, you're so special to me, and I'm grateful to have you part of this more than you know. And now more people get to know about your brilliant work. If this episode inspired you, please share it with a fellow athlete or friend navigating their next chapter, because we're all just writing our playbooks as we go. Next week, we're taking it back to my hometown of Belleville, Michigan, where I have the most special person who talks about the things he hid while he was performing in sports. You don't want to miss it. Until next time, please remember, the game ends, but your story doesn't. Keep living life in full send.